Transparency and Ethics. Before we start, do we have any bill requests? Okay, seeing none. There again, we have 5 budgets in front of us. We have about 7 minutes for each one. So we're just going to start right quick into Board of Examiners and Optometry. And we have the budget overview by Amanda Prosser. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning,
and
Chair.
You just left the committee that I just left.
I did. It's good to see you again.
You too. Good morning.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm Amanda Prosser with Legislative Research. In front of you, you should have Board of Examiners and Optometry. I'll do a quick overview, and then if you have any additional questions, the Executive Director for the agency, Jan Murray, is here as well. I'm really going to focus our time just at that very first table on page 1. I think that highlights most of what we're going to talk about today. In 2024, you can see that the governor concurred with the agency request of $211,282. That is the same amount that was approved last session. There's been no changes. In 2025, you can see again that the governor concurred with the agency. It's at $232,620. And to explain that one, if you wouldn't mind flipping to page 7. Here you're going to see in that top table, that line 1, it says pay plan shortfall. This is just increasing the expenditure amount for this agency following the pay plan that was passed last year. So that amount is that $3,000, and that's why the total amount comes up to $232,620. I also want to add that this number for 2025 includes what the group passed last session, which was 3 months worth of salary at $17,228 and 1 additional FTE to cross-train their new executive director in fiscal year 2025. That is also why 2025 is a little bit higher than 2024. With that, I can stand for questions.
Thank you very much. Where is this office located?
They are located in Lawrence, Kansas.
Do we have any, Senator Thompson?
Thank you, Madam. When you say cross-train, they're not running a marathon or anything, right?
Well, perhaps. No.
Okay.
No. She has been there for a very long time, and she knows a lot, and so she'll be cross-training.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is she with us in the audience?
She sure is.
Yes, could you wave at us? Good morning. Any other questions? This is very straightforward, and nice job, Amanda. All right, if you might notice, we don't have our vice chair today, so hop in. Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are you ready for a motion?
I am.
So, especially because the revenue or ending balance has been increasing, I'm very comfortable with approving the higher numbers. So I would make a motion that the committee recommend the FY24 and 25 budgets for the Board of Examiners and Optometry as presented.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Senator Thompson seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Amanda. Our next budget to hear is Board of Hearing Aid Examiners. And we have from KLRD Budget Overview, Nicole. You have to say that for me again. The H is silent.
Yes, the H is silent.
Well, good morning, Nicole.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. A little bit of background on the Kansas Board of Hearing Aid Examiners. They regulate hearing aid dispensers by determining the competence of new practitioners entering the field, ensuring licensees keep their equipment calibrated and meet continuing education requirements. The staff consists of 1 unclassified part-time employee who serves as the executive officer. So because they're part-time unclassified, that's why it's 0.0 FTE. Okay, if you could flip to page 5, we can start with the fiscal year 2024 analysis. The agency submits a revised estimate of $42,695, all from the Hearing Aid Board Fee Fund. This is the same as the amount approved by the 2023 legislature, and the governor concurs with the agency's request. Before moving on to 23, I want to turn your, or 25, excuse me, sorry. Turn your attention to page 6 to show the comparison to the actuals from 23. So the revised expenditure is 42,695. It's an increase of 8,000 or 23.2% above the actual amount. This is due to an increase in contractual services for the website development, as well as the 2023 legislature added 5,000 for both fiscal year 24 and 25 for costs associated with Senate Bill 66, which requires paper-based and verified electronic credentials. Are there any questions before I move on to fiscal year 25?
I do see a question for you, Senator Straub.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just looking at the salaries and wages. I assume that's just a part-time FTE. Does that person do another job or another board or?
So, yeah, it's part-time, so they are typically, it is Danielle, she's not here. She is also licensed, Dr. Donner, so she has another job.
Do they have an office in Topeka?
They do not.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions, so go ahead and continue.
Okay.
Nicole?
So on to page 7, fiscal year 25 analysis. The agency requests a revised estimate of 42,695, all from the Hearing Aid Board fee fund. This is the same as the 24 amount and the same as the amount approved by the 2023 legislature. And the governor concurs with the agency's revised estimate.
All right. Thank you very much. Nicole, nice job. Senator Fasquedo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicole, so again, you mentioned the duties that the employees do. So what do they service again for the hearing aids? I'm sorry.
So the board or the staff that the board has?
The staff, the purpose of this.
Yes, so she administers the board. Sorry, excuse me, I can find a more detailed explanation. So yeah, she just does administration for the board.
We were looking at page 1 of your explainer. That breaks it down a little more for us, that first paragraph. Senator Schellenberger.
All on that. So we have a part-time employee who sends out the board notices and things, takes care of the board. We have a board. Do we know how many hearing aid examiners there are or how many hearing aid examiners, I guess is what they're called, there are in the state?
Let me check.
I didn't see that in here.
So the number of current licenses, permanent, for 2023 was 353, and they estimate 368 for fiscal year 24 and 374 for fiscal year 25.
And to be a hearing aid, and you may not know, I know this isn't you're not the executive director, but you have to be a doctor? Can you just get a license and pay a fee and?
So, there are certain ways to go about getting a license. I can provide more detail later on. I can.
Obviously, you can buy hearing aid without, you can go online. I know Joe Namath sells them online, and I don't know if those people have paid their fees or not. So thank you.
Perhaps, Nicole, you could look into that with research and send Randy the update and we can all see that. All right, I don't see any other questions, Nicole, so I would be ready for a motion to approve 24 and 25's budget. So, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would we want to wait until we get the reply? I'm seeing,
I do, pardon me, I do know this, we're on a tight timeline with Ways and Means Big Committee waiting on these, so perhaps I could make sure when Senator McGinn carries this, that she updates the full committee on the question? Okay, but it would be good for us to know this, so Nicole, you pull that together for us, and we'll make sure Senator McGinn gets it.
with that, Madam Chair, I move the committee approve the FY24 and FY25 budgets as presented for the Kansas Board of Hearing Aid Examiners.
Do I second? I see Senator Fascido. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, and Nicole, you stay right there because you're going to do the dental board now. So we have Kansas Dental Board Budget Overview with Nicole Renrick.
Yes, okay. And as well, Lane Hemsley, the executive director, is in the office, is right behind me, so he will be able to answer questions. Again, quick overview. The board licenses qualified candidates desiring to practice dentistry or dental hygiene in Kansas, administers examinations, and issues credentials to applicants according to the licensure regulations. Turn to page 6, and we can go to the 24 analysis. The agency requests a revised estimate of $569,000, all from the Dental Fee Fund Board, and 3.0 FTE positions in fiscal year '24. This is the same as the amount approved by the 2023 legislature, and the governor concurs with the agency's revised estimate. Flipping to page 7, before we move on to 25, the actuals again. The revised expenditure of $569,000 is an increase of $145,833, or 34.5%. Increase is mainly attributed to the contractual services expenditures as the agency transitions to a cloud-based licensing system. Any questions for 24 before I move on?
Yes, we do, Nicole. Senator Reichman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. A quick question, on the fee board or fee fund, who's paying that and how much do they have to pay? I presume it's from the dentists themselves. Thank you.
Yes, so the fees come from the examination fees and licensing renewal. Page 5 has the list of the current fees.
Senator Fascido.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicole, does this board also help determine the amount, the prices that we pay at the dentist office?
They regulate the fees. Lane can go into more detail on that, though, exactly the process.
Senator Stephan.
Thank you. A couple of quick ones. Page 7, this increase is mainly attributed to increased contractual services as you go to cloud-based licensing system. So will this increased expenditure be yearly, or is it a one-time thing?
So the increase, this exact number, it's unsure if that will be, like Lane can expand on that, but the maintenance costs will increase, from my understanding.
Would it be all right if we ask the director to come answer your
When he
question?
gets up's fine.
Okay.
Unless you want him up here now, your call.
We need to do the next budget.
Yeah, yeah.
How about, Lane, how about we'll do the next budget and then we'll have you come up at the end? Is that all right? Okay.
I do have a quick follow-up, if
Oh.
that's okay.
Okay,
I
go
thought
ahead.
it's interesting on page 1, the first paragraph where it refers to the KSA portion of that. And you did the Kansas Board Hearing Aid Examiners budget too. And there isn't that sentence that that clearly delineates why the whole thing exists. Is there statute that governs the Kansas Board of Hearing Aid Examiners?
There is statute, yes.
I think that's a very nice addition to a report. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and continue into the next year, Nicole.
So fiscal year '25, the agency submits a revised estimate of $574,000, all from the dental board fee fund and 3.0 FTE positions. This is an increase of 9,000 or 1.6% above the 2023 legislative approved amount. This is due to the enhancement of the pay plan shortfall. Would you like me to go into detail over the pay plan shortfall, or?
I think we have heard that several times already, so
Yes,
I
you
think
would
we
have.
understand that.
Okay, and the governor concurs with the agency's revised estimate.
All right, thank you, Nicole. I don't see any other questions for you. That's Ask Lane. Would you come speak with us and address Senator Steffen's question? And perhaps there's other questions here too. I might ask you, do you know how many licensed dentists we have? Is that something you know off the top of your head?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Lane Hemsley. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the director of the Kansas Dental Board. I'm not a dentist. I'm an attorney by trade. I play dentist during the week when folks call. Yeah, we have, there's a different kind of punch list that you may or may not have seen here regarding numbers of licensees and the like. We have about 1,500 to 1,600 active resident dentists that provide services on a day in and day out basis across the state. I have an excess of 2,000 dentists that are available, but they may be also providing services in Missouri or Oklahoma or what have you. And some of them, I call them dual citizens. They will split time between the two states. So hopefully that answers the initial question. To Senator Faust-Godot, if I may, the board is not in charge of what's happening in private enterprise as far as commercial rates and charges for crowns, fillings, cleanings, and the like. I think you would probably find in Wichita, your area, the market's going to be a little more expensive than, say, Western Kansas, as you might imagine. But most of those rates, in my estimation, are probably within 10 or 15% flex from dentist to dentist. So your pro fee, your cleaning every 6 months would probably cost around $100 twice a year. And then crowns, fillings, and the like, it depends on the sophistication. But the board's not in charge of what dentists are providing you. Some service providers are much less, some are much higher, and it's up to patients who are also consumers to decide what's best for themselves as far as the practitioner is concerned and their wallets as well. So hopefully that answers your question. And to Senator Steffen, if I may, your question was primarily about the cost of implementing the cloud-based provider. We're working with OITS, Office of Information Technology Services, who has corralled 8 licensing agencies under Senate Bill 66, which I might add was a great piece of legislation for licensing agencies that are the same or similarly situated to mine. That cost is a 2-year build out. So I'll have about $135,000 in cost that will encumber in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then will be the same next year. After that's maintenance costs. So the infrastructure build out's the largest piece. We have been advised, but it's not solid, that the cost on a maintenance basis will be somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 a year with a 2 to 3% upward accelerator or elevator flex. So the largest part's just the build out. This is a great move for smaller licensing agencies like ours. As you might imagine, just to advise you, and I think some of you may know, I work off of Microsoft Access database, which was created before the dawn of the digital age. So it's challenging. It's secure, and OIT secures it. They're the data custodian, so everything's secure and personal identifiers are protected, and it's connected with the state treasurer's office, and everything's above board as far as security standpoint. But the capability to do some of the things that we needed to do during COVID were pretty stymied. So it's a good move for everybody, we hope. Hopefully that answers your question.
Senator Steffen.
Well, it kind of gets to an issue I have. You know, we've just accepted technologically without question anymore. We really don't analyze whether it brings cost, expense, savings or not. So this is a perfect opportunity. You know, old isn't necessarily bad. Otherwise, a lot of it.
Indeed, I might include myself.
Yeah. So, you know, from a cost standpoint, this is a perfect opportunity are you spending a lot, or going to be spending considerably more now than you were in the past?
Well, Microsoft Access Database is free, but it's non-modifiable. Well, there have been numerous changes in the dental laws and the Dental Practices Act that makes it impossible for me to update the database. The IT department said, hey, we don't even support that anymore, and Microsoft ceased supporting it back in about 2015. So I'm on a system that even Microsoft doesn't recognize anymore. So I don't disagree with you in the build-out cost, most certainly, but as far as providing a service to end users who are dentists and hygienists and in turn your constituents, the challenge there is I'm providing a service currently that doesn't match the phone in their pocket or the iPad in their lap. And so it makes it a real challenge for them to be able to provide services that are secure. It'll speed everything up and allow staff to move at a much quicker rate and license people at a faster rate.
Well, the million-dollar question is it just continuing to add to expenses? Because I'm willing to bet those dentists don't want to pay more for their licenses.
Well, you know, and the upshot is we haven't. When about 5 or 6 years ago, we lowered the licensing fee to $275 for a renewal license. It was down from $300. So I did a cost-benefit analysis and drove the cost down $25 per licensee per license renewal period. That's run about $75,000 in savings over the course of the last few years. Same for dental hygienists. We did the same. We haven't raised the rate yet, and I don't expect to have to raise the rate after we implement this infrastructure or for maintenance forward. I think that's a point that we should be proud of, not just as a licensing agency, but you as a body. Other agencies might not be as similarly situated, and we're fortunate that we have the capability to do that. We have every intention on being self-funding, assuming this body provides those services. And after we get through the infrastructure build, OITS will be responsible for ensuring the safety of that database. And then from there, we're moving forward and don't have any intention of switching gears. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
I'm happy to stand for other questions if it may.
Where's your office?
I'm in Landed Building, immediately to the east, fourth floor, corner office on the south end. So I can see you, and hopefully you see me at some point.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Talking to us.
Thank you.
Lane.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Would I have a motion to approve 24 and 25's budget for Kansas Dental Board? Would that be Senator Francisco?
Madam Chair, I move that the committee approve the FY 2024 and FY 2025 budgets for the Kansas Dental Board as presented.
So I have a motion, a second. Second from Senator Schallenberger. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Lane. All right, we're doing really good on time. So we have two more left. We have Real Estate Appraisal Board, and both of these budgets will be presented. The next one will be Board of Technical Professions by Ariana Waddell. Ariana, come up, and we have Real Estate Appraisal Board we will do first. And welcome back.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Committee. My name is Ariana Waddell, and I am a Legislative Fellow for the Kansas Legislative Research Department. Today, I will be presenting the budget analysis for the Kansas Real Estate Appraisal Board. And from the agency, we have the Executive Director, Sally Pritchett. If you could please turn your attention to page 1 of the report. The board is located in Topeka, in the Jayhawk Tower. The Real Estate Appraisal Board mission is to protect consumers of real estate services are provided by its licensees by assuring that the licensees are sufficiently trained and tested to assure competency and independent judgment. In addition, the board protects the public interest by enforcing both federal and state laws to assure that its licensees act in accordance with professional standards and ethics. These responsibilities are accomplished through a variety of efforts, including testing of potential licensees, pre-license and continuing education requirements, investigation of complaints, disciplinary action taken against licensees as warranted. And I would like to note that I'd like to note that for the statutory history, the Kansas State Certified and Licensed Real Property Appraiser Act became effective in April 1990. The act established the Kansas Real Estate Appraisal Board and provided for the licensure and certification of real estate appraisers. And if you could please turn your attention to page 3 of the report. The appraiser fee fund is the primary receiving and expenditure fund for the board. The fund is where all license, application, and other fees are deposited. And if you could, on page 4, you can see the appraiser fee fund, on page 4, the appraiser fee fund fees are noted within the fee table. And I'd like to note that in fiscal 2023, the board increased the renewal fee of appraisers to $200 and the renewal fee for the AMCs to $1,100. For fiscal 2024, the legislature approved a budget of $366,264, all from special revenue funds for fiscal year 2024. The agency requests the same amount approved by the 2023 legislature. I'm going to note that the governor concurs with the agency's fiscal 2024 revised estimate. Also, the change from the actuals, if you could please turn attention to page 6 of the report. We do a comparison of the actuals for 2023 to the adjusted budget for 2024. There is a blue and green bar next to each other. The agency revised expenditures of $366,264, all from special revenue funds in fiscal 2024. This is an increase of about $37,000 or 11.5% above the fiscal 2023 actual amount. The change is mainly due to an increase of $9,000 for the legislative pay plan in 2023 SB 25, an increase of $3,959 for the other salary and wages, and an increase of $23,000 for increased costs associated with the rentals, which include copier, office space, and escalator fees, and travel and professional fees. And for the professional fees, that includes contractor reviewers, quality assurance consultant, contract attorneys, and court report services. And if you could please turn your attention to page 7 for fiscal 2025. The agency submits a revised estimate of $371,000, all from the appraiser fee fund and the expenditures of 2.0 FTE positions for fiscal 2025. This is an increase of about $5,000 or 1.5% above the fiscal 2024 revised estimate, an increase of about $9,000 or 2.5% above the amount approved by the fiscal 2023 legislature. This increase is primarily account for an increase in expenditure limitation that was inadvertently omitted from the legislative plan in 2023 SB 25.
You went through that very thoroughly, Ariana. Do we have any questions for Ariana? Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is someone from the board here?
Yes.
Is our director in the room
Yes.
with us? Oh, wonderful. Would you have a question for the director? Oh, good. So could you introduce her to us, Ariana?
Yes, ma'am. Today we have the Executive Director, Sally Pritchett.
Hello, Sally. Could you come forward and talk to us at the microphone?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So Senator Francisco, did you have a question for Sally?
I did. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here. So I appreciate what the board does. We've heard about this for years, and these real estate transactions are some of the largest ones many people make. So it's important to have that oversight. I'm looking on page 4 at the fee fund, And they do note that the lowest month ending balance will occur in February of 2025, and that will be a balance of 94,000. So I understand and appreciate that you haven't raised all the fees to the statutory limit. Is there an ending balance that the board is hoping they will keep?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but actually the fees were increased. We haven't increased fees since 2015. So finally last year we had the costs over the years simply for different things. I mean, I could be a lot more specific, but we start renewing our appraisers, which is most of our fund that comes in. So that starts mid-March. We really pick up in May and June. And they're closing year end a lot earlier anymore. So a lot of our funds that come in June weren't even going to be reported. Am I in the right direction?
I think it's just overall, the expenditures have been greater than what you've been collecting. So it makes a lot of sense that you had to raise the fees. But they're still not estimated to be enough to cover expenditures.
I think that when I worked with Sean, the budget analyst, very closely with this, and we really believe we're in a good place. Does that make sense? I guess I can't explain this to you right now, but I think that's why we went with, because we were considering only raising by 25 for the appraisers, but it's just, that would have just been like, let's go ahead and go 50. We can always go back down eventually if we need to, but the way prices are increasing, everything's terrible right now. Let's just go with the 50. And, let's face it, the appraisers had a good market there for a while. They had a lot going on out there. So I think we didn't hear any grief on that whatsoever.
Madam Chair, I have no concern with the fees. I just want to, perhaps when you appear in front of the legislature presenting the budget for next year, you think about what would be a healthy ending balance for the board. And I just want to make sure that you don't get into trouble in the future.
Well, when I do the budget report, and I'm sure everybody else does the same thing, your 404s tell you that. So you log in how much you anticipating getting, and then you subtract next year's, so you kind of watch it 2 or 3 years down the road. If it's looking like it's getting bad again, you're going to have to either increase fees or stop spending. So that's kind of, I guess we've got it more under control. I feel very confident with what we're doing and with our budget analyst. I feel like he steers us straight. So I guess, I can look a lot more in depth. I really can.
So, thank you, Sally. Do we have other questions? Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for being here. There are 2 employees, it says here, 2
Yes.
FTEs. And are you one of those?
Yes.
Okay. And what does the other employee do?
Basically, we both, we pretty much have a lot on our plates. She's the one who does the annual renewals, that brings in. A lot of it we have to do together, but she's the one who actually goes in and manually enters, or unless we both have to do it.
So you both work in the office?
Yes.
And you're here in Topeka?
Yes.
Landon Building or?
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you.
I might ask, Sally, how many licenses do you have?
We stay pretty consistent with about 1,200. And we compare kind of to Missouri, kind of to a lot of the surrounding states on the number but it can vary, because right after renewal, especially on continuing ed year, a lot of them don't renew till real late. So the number's kind of, the best time for me to determine is March when we send out renewals, but we also do a lot of reciprocity licenses in the meantime. So I just call it consistently, maybe between $1,150 and $1,200.
Well, thank you. Any other questions, committee? All right, thank you for joining us, Sally. We're always happy to see you with us each year.
Thank you for your time.
Well, I would be ready for a motion to approve 24 and 25. Senator Francisco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee approve the FY 2024 and FY 2025 budgets for the Real Estate Appraisal Board as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second? I think Senator Dahl beat you there, so Senator Dahl seconds. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Sally, for joining us, and we'll bring back up Ariana Waddell, and we are now the Board of Technical Professions. So our overview by Ariana. Thank you, Ariana.
Good morning again. I will also be presenting the budget analysis for the Kansas Board of Technical Professions. From the agency, we have Executive Director Larry Carnes. If you could please turn your attention to page 1 of the report. The board is located in Topeka. The Board of Technical Professions provides for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of Kansans by ensuring that the practices of agriculture, landscape, agriculture, engineering, geology, and surveying are carried out only by those who are proven to be qualified in one or more of those areas. The purpose of the Board of Technical Professions is to establish and maintain a high standard of integrity, skill, and practice among technical professions. If you could please turn your attention to page 3 of the report. The Board of Technical Professions is a fee-funded agency, and the only source of the funds for the agency is the Technical Profession Fee Fund. The Technical Profession Fee Fund is funded from new and renewal license fees for individuals and businesses, as well as from license reinstatement and replacement fees and reciprocity license fees. And I also like to note that in 1976, the board was established by the legislature to create the Board of Technical Professions by combining the Engineering Examiners Registration Board and the Architects Registration Board and the Landscape Architects Registration Board. KSA 747004 provides that the purpose of the Board of Technical Professions, once again, is to establish and maintain a high standard of integrity, skills, and practice in the technical professions. And if you could please turn your attention to page 4, the technical profession fee funds are noted within the fee table. For fiscal 2024, the 2023 legislature approved the budget of $822,000, all from the Technical Profession Fee Fund and for the Board of Technical Professions for fiscal year 2024. The agency requests the same amount approved by the 2023 legislature. I'm going to note that the governor concurs with the agency's fiscal 2024 revised estimate. If you could please turn your attention to page 7 of the report for the change from the actuals. And once again, we do a comparison of the actuals for the 2023 to the adjusted budget for 2024. There's a blue bar and a green bar next to each other. The agency estimate revised expenditures of $822,000, all from the Technical Profession Fee Fund in fiscal year 2024. This is an increase of $145,000 or 21.5% above the fiscal year 2023 actual amount. Of the total increase, $128,000 is attributed to the agency spending less than its approved amount in fiscal year 2023. Most of the unspent funds were for contractual services expenditure of $116,000, including assigned contract attorney, computer programming service, data processing services, database access fees, and in-state and out-of-state travel expenses. And if you could please turn your attention to page 8 of the report for fiscal '25. The agency requests $824,000, all from the technical profession fee fund in expenditures and 5.0 FTE positions for fiscal year 2025. This is an increase of $2,000 or 0.3% above the fiscal year 2024 revised estimate and $13,000 or 1.7% above the amount approved by the 2023 legislature. This increase is primarily to account for an increase in expenditure limitation that was inadvertently omitted by the legislative pay plan in 2023 SB 25. I'm going to note that the governor concurs with the agency's request for fiscal year 2025.
All right, you went through that very thoroughly again. How many licenses are there, Ariana? And perhaps we can ask the director as well.
Yes, ma'am. The executive director may be able to answer that question.
Wonderful. So, welcome to the committee. Larry, how many roughly would you guess licenses you have?
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee. My name's Larry Carnes. I'm the executive director of the technical board. We have approximately 16,800 individual licenses and just under 3,000 business entities that we license in our 5 professions. So architecture, engineering, landscape architecture, surveying, and geology.
That's fascinating. Are you an architect yourself?
No, I'm like Lane, I'm an attorney by trade. I finally have a real job.
Well, welcome to the committee. Do we have any questions for Larry? Senator Straub.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to follow up on that, which of these professions has the most licenses out of the ones that are listed here in the report?
I'd say 80% of our licensees are engineers.
Thank you. Senator Schellenbarger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for being here today. So at what point in time does the landscape architect,
They're misunderstood. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you may know where I'm headed.
Yeah.
So the guy comes out and he puts a retaining wall around my tree. Does he have to have a license, or at what point in time does a license required?
No, that's something I sort of struggled with when I came on about 4.5 years ago, trying to figure out what's the difference between an architect and a landscape architect. One way I simplify it is one guy designs inside structures and buildings, and the other person designs outside. For example, the parking lots, the areas around buildings, playgrounds, outside structures that we all use are designed by landscape architects. They're not the people that are going to put mulch around your bushes or around your trees or that sort of thing. Those would not be licensed individuals.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for joining us, Larry.
Quite welcome. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Senator Francisco, Larry may have a question for you.
Again, I'm looking at the fee fund balances, and the lowest balance for the technical professions fee fund is going to be $2.5 million. So I'm wondering if you have some ideas that you may need to make major expenditures, such as for the cloud services, or because this is more than 3 times your annual
Correct.
budget.
And Senator, if I recall, you had the same question last year. We are upgrading our technology. The Department of Administration is asking us to join with other state licensing agencies to acquire this cloud-based licensing system, which will be superior to what we have now. And they're saying it's more secure, and what we like best is that OITS is going to maintain it for us. We were bootstrapped to the Board of Healing Arts. They had IT personnel that maintained our system. A lot of those, there's been a lot of turnover. There's a lot of, we had dedicated people assigned to our agency. We don't have those people anymore. So I'm anxious to get to this new system that's going to be maintained by OITS. We're also getting a new website. Again, the Department of Administration is moving several agencies to a gratis developed system. So there's major expenses, if you will, coming down the pike that are extraordinary. We also just hired, and I've operated for the last 4 years with 4 full-time equivalent employees. We have 5 budgeted, but only have been operating with 4. They've just hired a new assistant deputy director that I'm training, and that's another additional expense that we haven't had in the past. We have lowered fees, much like some of the other testimony today. Renewal fee is only $35 a year. So people in these professions, they're getting a bargain.
You said the renewal fee was 35? No, 95.
No, it's $70 every 2 years, so it works out to $35. And for businesses, it's $95 every 2 years.
That does sound like a bargain, Larry.
Yes.
Any other questions? I see none. Thank you again.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
We'll see you next year. If there's nothing else, I would need a motion to approve 24 and 25 budget for Board of Technical Professions. Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee approve the FY 2024 and FY 2025 budgets for the Board of Technical Professions as presented.
And I have a second from Senator Schallenbarger. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Well, committee, we did 5 budgets right on time, and our vice chair is out of the building at another conference, so I am filling in for her on the big ways and means to report out on what we did on Monday. So wish me luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. So we have 19 of these, and I'm sorry to schedule this, but we will have a meeting on Monday, and you'll see that on the agenda that Randy's going to be sending out. And she will be sending you out the budgets so you could have overview and questions ready. All right. I think that's all we have, committee, so we're adjourned.